So lately I've been getting a lot of questions from parents wanting to know what Elliot thinks about raising children, which is a little awkward, but considering the fact that I have 4 children and I share my thoughts and wisdom with you on a daily basis, I can see why the questions came in. So before I get started, the very first thing I want to offer is that I am not a parenting expert. You probably know that. But the thing is, I don't think there's such a thing as a parenting expert, simply because everyone is going to have totally different experiences with regard to raising children. If anyone tells you that they've got all the tactics and strategies that you need to be successful in anything and completely disregard your experience with that thing, they're lying to you, right? So let me share my story. Not too long ago, I started working with a mentor who also happens to be a psychoanalyst. He's a good friend of mine now, and when we first started, I think it was our first session, I broke down into tears. And the reason why was because of guilt that I had from an experience earlier in the day. My daughter was behaving badly or poorly or just not up to what I expected of her that morning. And instead of saying anything, I went and took something that was very important to her, and I stuffed it in the garbage can. Talk about being a bad parent, right? Took it and stuffed it in the garbage can. I was like, when you start to behave kindly to your sisters, I think she was just being mean, then you can have this thing back. Now the garbage can was empty, so it wasn't sullied or anything like that. And but she was really upset, distraught that Daddy stuffed her thing in the garbage can. And we went about our day. We made up, and the feelings associated with that experience must have stuck with me, because later on that day, when I went and saw my mentor, I broke down in tears with feelings of guilt about being a horrible parent and how I could possibly ever raise healthy, smart, intelligent, creative children if I'm stuffing their shit in the garbage, right? And he said something to me that was very profound. He said, the most important thing that you can do, Elliot, to ensure that you are a good parent is to work on yourself first. And clearly you're doing that. So he affirmed that, I'm doing all right. And it got me thinking about a phrase that I constantly repeat over and over again because I believe so strongly in it, that it doesn't matter what you do, the tactics and techniques and the books that you read and what you mechanically do with your hands doesn't matter nearly as much as the sentiment from which it proceeds. Who you are means far more than what you do with regard to being a parent. So, like I've described in other videos, you can have 2 people doing the same exact thing, 2 hands performing the same exact actions, seemingly identical, and get 2 totally different results. And that's why anybody who offers you the tactics and strategies for success is lying to you. They can give you their ideas, they can give you their experiences, they can share with you some wisdom that they've gained through the years of doing the thing that you'd like to do better, but they can't tell you exactly what to do, because who you are is going to pervade, it's going to color all of the tactics and strategies that you act out, the emotion that you carry, your self-esteem, the years and years and generations of conditioning that you carry within your mind and soul is going to color all of your activities. So with regard to being a parent, I'm not telling you to stuff your children's things in the garbage like I have, but take a step back and don't be so connected and focused on what you're actually doing, and think about where it's coming from. Are you coming from a place of love? Are you coming from a place of generosity, of appreciation for life? Or are you coming from a place of anger, frustration? I know early on in my parenting career, a lot of what I did was just an imitation of what my parents did. I would say things and behave in ways and yell and scream the same way my dad did to me. And it wasn't because I thought it was the right thing to do. It was because that's what I was conditioned to do. And he probably just did what his dad told him to do, or did to him, without having to think about it too much. So without thinking, I was talking to my daughter and daughters the way that my parents spoke to me. And then when I took conscious control of it, I realized that this is not who I am. It's not who I want to be. And I'm going to continue to proceed from a different place of empathy, which is really where I come from most of the time when I'm dealing with my children. When I say empathy, I essentially mean that I feel what they feel, living in a world where everyone's trying to control you, squash you, stop you from being who your heart's desire is for you. I need to guide and control them in certain ways so they don't get hurt. But beyond that, hurting themselves or hurting other people, I try to have a very little or minimal hand in guiding and controlling their behavior. This comes from my heart. This is who I am, and it's not so much what I do. I hope this is helpful for you. Talk to you next time.